everybody. I was just making a video here because I've gotten some questions about the budget assignment and also just to catch up. Well, not really catch up because there's a video not too long ago, but catch up. Let's see. If you haven't first of all, if you haven't noticed, because I guess Canvas did an update and doesn't allow me to make that automatic announcement that the grades are posted, but I finished grading yesterday. I finished grading your library spreadsheet data assignments. So go and check those out. Go and check your assignment out if you haven't done that already. It is up and ready for you. I'm a data nerd, so I thought it was really interesting to learn about some Midwestern cities, but cities from all over the country. So I hope you got something out of it where you were able to take a look at the community and take a look at the library and do some assessments just some basic assessments of maybe what is needed in the library. Maybe you looked at the website and saw some issues or saw some opportunities for social media engagement. It would have been interesting if we could do a social media dive into some of the public library, just because I, again, do research in social media and libraries, and see how engaged they are with their audience, because it varies. I know Facebook's algorithms make it difficult and they want you to pay for everything, and Twitter is hit or miss for some people, Instagram as well, but it'll be interesting. But I hope you had an ability to kind of connect the two, like what the community looks like and what the library looks like. Some of those libraries are quite old, or the buildings themselves, so interesting. Yeah, I saw some from Shorewood, Kenosha. These are all in Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Sheboygan, I think. Some of them I wasn't quite clear about the city because you didn't put the name of the city and state right at the top, so I kind of had to guess it based on the citations you mentioned, like Newton, Wisconsin, maybe, and then Las Vegas, a city in North Carolina, just all over. So it's really interesting to me. It's kind of like the budget assignment is going to be interesting because these are real things that you do. You do an assessment of your community, like we just did. Of course, you would do a deeper dive when you're in the library. You would do like what's called a SWOT. I'm sure you've heard of this before: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And I've done that before for a library I worked for. And sometimes you'd hire people from outside that do that, because there are professionals who are really good at doing strategic analysis, or sometimes you do it yourself. Like right now I'm doing strategic planning, I guess is a better word for it, with a division I'm involved in, YALSA. So, and we're also not really working on it with SOIS, but it's always an ongoing. You're constantly, every couple of years, you do more strategic planning, or analyze what you had, your previous strategic plan, because they usually last from like 3 to 5 years. So again, there's a lot of data involved in libraries. Libraries across the board, from public, academic, school. I'm sure if you've done a circulation report, I used to do a lot of those. Bunch of data. And again, it gives you a good indication of what's trending in your library, what you should promote, how you're doing program-wise. We do have a program planning activity coming up. I hope you are enjoying these assignments, or at least seeing the practicality of them, and not that they're just, again, if you took 501 with me or with somebody else, some of those were a little bit more theoretical, or digging deeper into critical thinking. My computer is trying to overheat. It just spent some time with IT. Why is it doing this to me? Deep breaths. Yes, so computer. Now I remember where I was at. Okay, because these are a little bit more practical, which makes sense in a class called the public library. These are some skills that you might want to start to cultivate now, and once you go out, once you start, a lot of you are already working in public libraries, or maybe you don't end up working in public libraries, an academic library, school library. You'll still do a lot of the same things. So these give you a beginning hands-on experiment. Oh, it's an experiment with some budgeting, program planning, looking at some different facts and figures, but also sometimes it's not stuff that you are. Sometimes, honestly, budget is going to vary from library to library, so it's hard to do a full budgeting class or some of the management classes. There is a great management class that I would highly recommend if you're not about to graduate. I got a specialist degree in library and information science, and it was leadership and management. So I took a lot of management type courses because I thought I wanted to be management. Turns out management is quite a headache. I'm sure maybe some of you are much better at that than I am. But again, that's a recommendation. Susan Hirsch usually teaches that, who also does a lot of the school library, who is our school library coordinator, and she's going to talk to my 501 class later this semester. Never mind. So these assignments, ideally, they should flow along and give you that hands-on experience, even if it's just the very basics. You have something, because it's going to be different. Unfortunately, in a master's level course, we can't teach, in any course, we can't teach you like exactly what you're going to need for a particular library. You have to be in that library and you have to understand the community, but we give you some of the tools that'll help you along the way and point you to resources that are helpful. So I know I had a request for some more additional resources that might help you with the budget assignment, and I will definitely provide those. I will add them under the budget assignment link. I'll do a little bit of a dig today. I meant to do that yesterday, but I was sick, allergies, or a mild spring almost cold. So I was a little bit out of commission, except for grading. So did get your grading. So I will provide some of those. Some of the questions that I've received can be answered by. I'm right now under the assignments tab, looking at the budget assignment, and it gives you a little bit of a teaser about what the assignment is about. But if you click that PDF, the PDF that says overview here, the Leafy View Public Library budget assignment, it is about 6 pages long. It gives you much more detail. I know it's quite a bit of reading, but it really covers everything that you're going to need to cover in the assignment and answers a couple of questions that people had. It covers talking about services, personnel, the issue that's going on. So the pretend situation in this case is that there's an employer in the town that closed and the plant's moving to another state. So shutting down a lot of operations, which naturally will lay off a lot of people. And this is obviously going to have a huge impact on the library. If you want to dig into like property taxes and some other how libraries are supported, because we are looking at because this is a budgeting assignment, and we are reading about fundraising, writing grants, and that sort of thing. But how property taxes and other sorts of taxes or other sorts of income help support the library. And so if something like this, if people start moving away, it really impacts the library. And if some of the wealthier patrons start moving away, then goes some of your donations. That's the case in this library. There was a patron that always gave a huge donation to the fundraising drive that helped support some of the library programming and materials, buying books and everything, but that might not be the case in the future. So what you will need to do in this assignment is balance the new budget. The new decreased budget is decreased by 12%. So, I need to edit this because it has a FY fiscal year 2017-2018 budget. That is a while ago. Okay, that won't affect the salaries, and because honestly, hasn't changed too much with salaries for librarians. But we'll keep the numbers as they are. So what you'll do is it tells you it gives you the whole budget, goes from salaries, library materials, equipment, other expenses such as staff development, utilities, just things you don't really have to think about, like janitorial services, just office supplies, general supplies, and that gives you the total library budget, which is quite small. I might need to next semester update this and bump it up slightly to 2021, which is the year we are in. Yes. So after that, it gives you preparing the fiscal year budget, the new one. And so it gives you details about what I'm expecting from the budget packet. So first you're gonna put a budget that's above, like the old budget. Everything's gonna go in an Excel spreadsheet, not everything. It's one column is gonna have the old budget, and then the column beside it is gonna have your new budget with a 12% cut. And what you decide to cut is up to you. That's part of the assignment as well. So you really need to describe any kind of changes that you make, why you found that they were necessary. Make sure to build into the budgets things such as pay increases, the fact that sometimes materials are going to cost more, books are going to cost more, with all the ebooks and audiobooks stuff going on. Things are going to cost a little bit more, so you have to have a little wiggle room for that. And explain the decreases or increases for each of the categories. So you're going to have categories that are listed above. So salaries, which are usually the bulk of any library's budget. Library materials, that includes books, audio materials, subscriptions, online databases, equipment, and other expenses, as we just mentioned. And all of that together creates the library budget. And out of this library budget, you need to reduce it by 12%. And this is set up so you don't need a lot of budget making experience. It's really more, you make decisions on what you feel. Sometimes my southern accent comes out, feel. And you make the decisions, like where you think you'll need to make a budget cut, where you might need to make an increase, where you might need to just cut it out entirely. And again, you're gonna have two columns of numbers. One's last year budget and then the revised one. And remember, you can make cuts to hours, to services. I typically, honestly, I see a lot of students when I've taught this class once. Based on teaching it once experience, a lot of students cut Sunday hours, which I'm always surprised by, because Sunday, when I worked in the public library, and I don't know if any of you have the same experience, it was one of my busiest days at the library. I worked with a lot of weekends. That's when a lot of kids were coming in to do school assignments. People, since I lived in the rural South, a lot of people came in after church to drop off their books and get new books. And it was one of the few times people were off work. Not everybody, of course, but when they were able to go to the library. So I was always a little bit astonished that people would cut Sunday hours. That's just me. Sunday is kind of Sunday services. Now we're going back to church. Sunday hours are important, but you can always reduce other hours across the board. Sometimes students cut evening hours, which I'm always these. This is just me speaking about what I've seen. But you really have to think about patrons. I mean, they're still going to need services. They're still going to need to go to the library. And if you cut certain services, like if a library stays open till 8 or 9 and you decide to across the board, the library's going to be closed at 6 and open at 10 a.m. in the morning, that cuts off a lot of your, not a lot, but cuts off some of your patrons. Like I wouldn't, since I work in a library, there's no way I would have been able to visit a library on a public during the weekend or during the week, because those were my working hours. I was at work. So you're cutting off people who may have no other option than to come to the library at 7 or 8 o'clock at night, or come on a Sunday afternoon. I don't know, just these are things to think about. So really, I think if you do a good, thorough reading of this PDF that's included alongside the assignments, I think you'll do really well. I don't want you to get too overwhelmed by the idea of, oh no, I have to create a new budget. You're not really creating a budget from scratch. There's already an existing budget. You're figuring out how you can make 12% worth of reductions across at the total budget for the library. So yeah, so please read the PDF that is linked in the budget assignment. I will start working today to add some resources that might be beneficial to you all about creating a budgets in general. I mean, it's not entirely unlike dealing with your own budget that you have at home. If you live paycheck to paycheck, or if you just, there's money coming in, there's money going out. And if you get a reduction in your income, like we had furlough days at UWM, so I had to accommodate those days with a budget reduction. So think about it that way. But first and foremost, really do read this assignment fully. You'll have an Excel spreadsheet, very, very basic, the previous year's budget, the newly revised budget that you came up with, and then you'll have a 2,000 word short paper. Well, maybe 2,000 words isn't too short to some of you. I understand that we're all at different levels of grad school, and I've been writing way too much recently, so I'm like, 2,000 words. Oh, sweet. I have to write today. Anyway, that paper will contain like why you made those cuts, why you either made the changes, why you made these cuts, why you decided to increase something, just really justification to present to the city, because ideally this is going to go to the library board for approval, and after that it's going to go up to the city, and then, they can make all sorts of comments, because they will. But I want to give you all some kind of at least a little bit of experience with working with a library budget, because you may not get that right off the bat, but if you just decide to go a little bit further in management, or it's just something you're interested in, I think it's kind of interesting to play around with a budget. But that's me. I think I commented on some of your last assignments that I found reading about the census data of different cities really fascinating, because you learn a lot about a city, especially when you're looking at how many like lots of different demographics, especially like college educated, how many people have high school diplomas, the different types of employment that is the percentage of the population that is in like manufacturing, professional. The one with Las Vegas was interesting, because I'd be curious. I was fascinated with how many were in professional. I'm sure the entertainment would fall into professional. But anyway, I hope that helps. So be on the lookout. This isn't due until the 21st. I know it's the 16th, so you got 5 days. I can count. Yeah, so, and if you still have questions, please let me know. I do not mind your questions. You're never a bother. Please don't think you are. I just been a little bit, like I said, I mentioned before, seasonal depression. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. I think spring is the 20th, so in 4 days, everything's going to be better, right? That's what's going to happen. Just we're all going to be much happier. Got first vaccine shot. Eventually we'll get my second one. I hope you all are doing the same, or able to get a vaccine shot. I know I keep reading about, I see a lot on especially on Twitter, because I love Twitter and Instagram, so I get to see a lot of my library friends, some of them getting their first shot and second shot, and some of them still waiting. Like, it's so odd how it varies state to state. Sorry, that was a divergence into vaccine. But I hope you're taking care of yourself, taking care of your family, your loved ones, your cat. My cat, Milou. She's asleep in the closet. She likes to sleep in the closet behind my shoes. It's very warm in there. And you know how cats are. I imagine they're like dogs. They want warmth, no matter how warm my apartment is. She's not going to make an appearance, I don't think. It's probably good. Well, not good. But I'll post a picture of her being cute, because I know the demand is high. Probably not. But I will do so anyway. Let's see. What else is happening? Spring break is next week. Please I know you all are grad students, so I hope you would have a little more sense than some of the images I've been seeing from undergrads going to spring break. I understand we're all fatigued from this pandemic, but yeah, please be careful. Or you're probably like me, working through spring break, or you have a family, or you're doing something, and spring break is just a nice pause of courses, like discussion board posts or whatever, assignments. But yeah, so next week is spring break. Again, I always say this a million times, but it doesn't hurt to say it a million times. Please let me know if you have any questions, comments, concerns, suggestions. Getting feedback on the assignments. If there's any confusion, it only makes the assignment better, because I'm able to go in and edit it and see where there's any confusion or further need for clarity. So in closing, I haven't finished the other book, but I started a young adult book, because sometimes I like to bounce two books off of one another. So We Are the Ashes and We Are the Fire is a book I'm reading right now. It is a bit of a trigger warning. The main character is assaulted, and the trial does not go in her favor. So unfortunately, her attacker is justice is not served, but it's almost what it sounds like. I haven't gotten too far into it. It almost sounds like magical realism, if anybody is into that sort of genre. I'm a huge fan. If you've read Haruki Murakami, I love his books. I have all of them. He uses a lot of speculative fiction. It's very popular in Latin America. But also, but in this, she, what it sounds like, she is, and it comes in the unlikely form of a story of a 15th century French noblewoman, Marquis de Bissau. You would think the amount of French I took, I would be able to pronounce things. Legendary as an avenging knight for assault victims. So, again, this was a very highly regarded. I saw so many people reading this book, and I was like, I'm going to read the book. but just a trigger warning that it is she was assaulted. But it sounds like she gets her own. No, she finds some strength in the end of the book. Yeah, this just came out last month. Got it from the library. I need to go to the library to pick up my holds. But there's still snow outside. Dilemma. We had a little snowstorm. We had a little bit of snow here in the old Wisconsin area. So I hope you all are having better weather. I saw some flowers blooming, so I meant to post that picture. And I was like, on Saturday, because Saturday was glorious here. And then some snow came, but we're going to warm up. Anyway, that's enough of me. An old lady talking about the weather and the book she's reading and what she's currently watching, Murder, She Wrote. I just started the series yesterday. Out of a friend mentioned it to me. It sounds like the oldest show in the world, but it is oddly campy and fun. And it's on, I think it's on Netflix. I need to check. I can't remember what I'm watching it on. It's streaming though. Anyway, this has rambled on a little bit longer than I intended it. Cheers to you from my iced coffee. I drink iced coffee throughout the entire year. Hope there are others out there like me. If you, again, send me an email if you have questions. Hit me up on Twitter. See what I'm reading on Instagram. If you would like to follow me on the social media links. And I really appreciate all the comments that you all leave after each announcement. It just makes me super happy to see pictures of your family or pictures of spring, pictures of double egg yolks, which I have never seen. I mean, I knew it existed. I just have never encountered it in my personal life, and I've done a fair amount of cooking. You would know what I was talking about if you read the comments. This is one situation where you should read the comments. Other situations, just don't ignore the comments. Okay, I will leave you all with that. Email me, just reach out, and be on the lookout for the budget assignment edits, and take care. I hope you have a lovely afternoon, evening, morning, whenever you watch this video. And goodbye.